Okay, I know. Let's admit it, it's a little bit of a catchy jingle the Angry Birds has. And, well, as you can see, I just came back from watching Angry Birds 2. So I decided to dress up on red because red is the color of our main character. But funnily enough, it is quite a contrast that I am wearing a red shirt that has Monkey D. Luffy here. Probably the happiest pirate ever lived in the world. Okay, maybe it's because I wanted to wear something different. So anyway, the Angry Birds movie. First off, I gotta say that I thought that I didn't like the first movie. I thought that the first movie was a movie that has full of gags. It's very reliant on gags. It's too fast paced. It's a little bit too mean-spirited to the main character, especially when the main character is not at fault on many things. But the biggest issue that I had with the first movie is that this movie didn't shut the frick up. The movie constantly talk and talk and talk, that it didn't give out any emotion and all this stuff. Although it didn't. Even for you know, a cartoon that they target for the common denominator, I felt that it was a little bit too much, a little bit too excessive. It was enough to me, at least, to become part of one of my worst movies of that year, at least. But nowadays, you know, the Angry Birds franchise is sleeping, let's say. Nothing else came out, and somehow they decided to come up with a sequel with Angry Birds 2, and I was like, really? Okay, maybe I'll give it another chance. And lo and behold, I wasn't very eager to watch it, but still feel like I needed to watch at least something bad. At least something bad that is laughable, at least in animated world. And what are my thoughts about the next new Angry Birds movie? Well, I will say that before I talk about Angry Birds 2, let me tell you that before the movie before the movie started, they gave us a really, really big treat. The movie actually started off with a short film, a short animated film that, my God, that made my $12 worth it. If I was watching that short film, which is called, I think it was called Hair Love, and that short was brilliant. To give you a little bit of a summary, I'll tell you that the short film Hair Love is about this little girl who watches a vlog of a woman who knows how to, you know, fix your hair in different styles because the little girl has an afro. But unfortunately, you know that fixing your hair yourself is quite a challenge. So she asked her father to help her. But unfortunately, the father is very clumsy at it. He just wants to. He thinks that they're in a hurry to go somewhere, and he just wants her to put on a hat. But the girl, she feels like the day is very special. And technically that caused a little bit of a strained difficulty with between them. Not because he doesn't want to, it's that he's both in a hurry. He's in a hurry. He doesn't know what to do and all this stuff. And I will leave it at that because the movie, the short film, makes it 100% worth it once you see where it leads to, and it's absolutely heartwarming. It's a million times better than any Angry Birds 1 did, a million times better than any horrible animated movie that came out this year. And I'm watching it, you ugly dolls, and I'm also watching it, you Wonder Park. But okay, that was a little bit of my small detour to before I start out talking about Angry Birds 2. And right in the get-go, I will say that Angry Birds 2 is somehow kind of like 2 steps forward and 2 steps backwards at the same time. I feel like I like this movie a little bit better than the last one, but I still have to play the angry mother or the angry teacher to tell it that you're still doing things very, very wrong. That's my next thing about this movie. Okay, so what Angry Birds 2 is about? Well, the movie it takes place right after the first one. I mean, you remember, the Angry Birds is basically based on a video game about an island of birds who that they have to defend their eggs from green pigs who wants to eat their eggs. So they come out with the idea that they just slingshot themselves and somehow they got powers. That's basically not only the video game plot, but also this movie's plot. And apparently, yeah, they finally used slingshots as their mode of transportation, but guess what? That slingshot thing is almost never a big element in this movie. The biggest element that this movie has is that well, there is this food of the birds and the pigs. So a third island pops out of nowhere, in which it is an island full of eagles living in this really big icy mountain, and the leader of the eagles, who is this purple. I think that it kind of like a purple Muppet Big Bird woman named Zeta, who is played by Leslie Jones, who wants to take over both islands by shooting somehow an ice age on both islands, and then later she wants to shoot hot lava into them. Well, what basically happens is that the pigs and the bird had to form a little bit of a truce in order to stop up the bigger threat. I just gave you a little bit of a summarized version about this, but I didn't even bother a little bit of the characters because right now I think it's better to talk about the characters little by little. Let's start off with none other than the main character, Red, who was played by Jason Sudeikis. I think I said it properly. Yes, Jason Sudeikis. Red was technically kind of like the underdog of the last movie. He was the pariah. I mean, because everyone hated him. They didn't like him mostly because he has bigger eyebrows. He's always impatient. He's always grumpy. Technically an angry bird. Even though I criticized last movie that he didn't seem very angry. He seemed more like annoyed. Basically, this movie too, for a movie that is called Angry Birds, it doesn't feel very angry. But you know what? You kind of see why he gets angry, because nobody treats him with respect, not even for no reason. So you have a reason to feel pity for this guy. And well, yeah, he turns into the hero in the first movie, and now he is idolized by becoming the guardian of the island, along with his friends, Chuck, the yellow bird with quicksilver powers that he can run fast at like lightning speed, and also voiced by Josh Gad, and this big black bird who, whenever he's angry, he explodes, and also he is voiced by Danny McBride. And yeah, there was this big giant red bird that's named, I think it was called Terrence, that he barely appears in this movie, so they kind of forgot about him. But anyway, Red becomes the hero. He kind of begins to play pranks. There was a prank war between the pigs. The pigs is led by this by the leader named Leonard, voiced by what was the name? Bill Hader. Yeah, Bill Hader, which is kind of funny. How did we get through a plot in which the pigs want to eat the birds' babies to a prank war? You know what? I don't care. It's kind of like cartoon folly that I can accept that. But yeah, when the pigs are the first one to be victimized by the eagles, Leonard is the one that tries to call for truce for to help team up and defeat the bigger threat. But in my mind, I actually was siding with Red, because Red is like, no, I don't want to truce with them. But the others were kind of open to it, and it was weird seeing that how accepting it is to the enemy that tries to kill your chicks. And guess what? That truce was a little bit temporary because it just solved out a little bit too easy. And the movie wanted to try out kind of like there was this rivalry between Red and Leonard butting heads because, well, they're different. They had their what was it called? Yeah, they had their rivalry ever since the first movie. But guess what? They removed that plot point after a while, so it was only done by convenience. And you know what? That plot point is not the only thing that they just add in this soup of ideas. So what other idea they wanted to add? Well, let's add a little bit more of the insecurities of Red, because, well, let's say that Red feels that he needs to be the hero for everyone. He doesn't need anyone. He needs to be, the team leader for everyone, because, well, he feels that now that he became the hero, if he doesn't continue to be, being the hero of the town, everybody's gonna leave him eventually, and he's gonna be alone. So he feels kind of like this insecure loneliness, which honestly, you feel for that, because even being a hero, kind of everyone's treating him like, well, that they feel very, very dependent to him, almost like a hero that they just give him, that the public just give him too much work. So you kind of get that idea, and sometimes when he in another plot point that they just wanted to mishmash him, in order to combat that loneliness, he kind of gets invited, quote unquote, to this speed dating thing, and well, it kind of finds out that we need they just decided to add a love interest for Red. Enter, let's say, for lack of better words, the girl of the team and the group, and that is none other than this bird with what was it? This kind of trend pigtails. This bird is named Silver. She's played by Rachel Bloom. She's kind of like this brainiac bird she's very smart. She's kind of on the ground, I'll say. And every time she calculates something, she has the mind. She has this beautiful mind perspective that she sees the calculation whenever she sees it. And oh yeah, she's Chuck's sister. Truth to be told, I'll say, Silver is probably one of the better additions that this movie has, and her relationship with Red, even though she kind of blurted out into his face that they are very, very incompatible. Their relationship is probably the best part of the movie, because it's kind of very sweet, I'll say. It's very sweet. You can see them, that they're kind of like polar opposite, I'll say. But there's one thing that kind of nags me in the wrong way. But I think I will leave it to that for a while, I'll say. And well, what else there is? We also got the eagle from the last movie. He's played by what was it? He was played by Peter Dinklage. Maybe he's taking a break after the cabal of Game of Thrones. But how can I say this? The eagle was a jerk in the last movie. I kind of remember, and he made kind of like the impossible. Let's say. In this movie, he came from becoming the jerk to a freaking dick. And that I will leave it also when I begin to talk a little bit of spoilers. And as for our main villain, who is Sita, again played by Leslie Jones, it's kind of a little bit, she's technically kind of like a Muppet, I'll say. She's overly top villainous. Too sassy, but extremely sassy. I mean, she's Leslie Jones sassy, which it wasn't too bad, but let's say that her sassy level kind of decreased the threat level that she has. Although she kind of begins to say that she just wants to live in a tropical. She wants to take over the islands because she deserves to be in a tropical island. She worked very hard on that, and that she and her and the other eagles are tired of living on ice, and still kind of begs the two good questions. First of all, isn't it much easier to just move? You could just go there and say, hey, can I live here? And second of all, if you're tired about the ice, how the hell do you have molten lava to make ammunition? Couldn't you have used the lava to at least warm up this place? I know that lava is extremely hot. I know that you can't be near lava because even being a foot near lava is deadly. But still, since it's working on cartoon logics, why not? And after all this, did I mention that they add another ingredient on the soup of ideas because they thought that it was clever to add a B plot, and the B plot involves three little birdies, very cute one, I gotta admit. Three little birdies who they're playing, they're playing, like cowboys and robbers, but in their own style of birds and pigs. But because they wanted to make their game even juicier, one of them uses her siblings were eggs. To be more specific, that Big Bird Terrence chicks, let's for lack of better words. But accidentally, while playing, the three eggs wash ashore, and while we're having this big plot of the birds and the pigs teaming together to defeat the eagle, once in a while we cut to the three chickens having their little adventures, trying to retrieve the eggs. Let me tell you something about it. This proves to be both a double-edged sword, because you might be thinking, okay, when this thing is going to contribute to the overall plot of the movie? Well, here's the thing. It's not. At least until the very end. Toward the very end, because all this time when we get to when we have this big plot, when they jump to those little birdies moments, the movie technically derails from the main plot, and that is indeed very, very distracting, and if it doesn't contribute with a bigger payoff on the other one, that causes a problem. And I personally don't like when these kind of things happen. If the way they could have fixed it is that if that B plot more than only once, it could occasionally interject with the other times, But no, it was basically kind of like the scrap moments of the Ice Age movies, which is weird because let me tell you that if I could give it a little bit of a positive of the chicks moment, is that you come up with a lot of Looney Tune-esque moments that are actually not only endearing but also very funny. I gotta say that some of the humor in this movie is actually pretty good, and this chick trying to get the eggs are actually kind of hilarious, I gotta admit. There is one moment that it gone very dark that I got really scared, but I was actually giving me a smile on my face. To be a little bit of spoilerish because I'm a little bit of an asshole. It involves when, first of all, they go with they find out that the eggs landed on a snake, and then the chicks are like, "What are we gonna do?" So we just get to see a shot at the grass, and we hear them pound it, and then the chicks come out with a snakeskin cowboy, snakeskin boots, snakeskin belt. They come out like cowboys, so they technically kill off the snake. And one of them said, "This got really dark." I know, and that was awesome. Oh yeah, and also they team up with later with other pigs because they just wanted to make a contrast with the other plot of Red teaming up with Leonard. But again, I think that chicks, that moment with the little chicks, it should happen kind of like a separate short film instead of mishmashing into the movie. Remember when I said that the first movie was over-reliant on gags? This problem, unfortunately, is also in this movie. This movie feels like it wants to appeal with a little audience, and they just over-rely on gags. Yeah, they just kind of like set up to another joke. Sometimes some jokes are good, sometimes are bad. It's pretty hit or miss. Although I gotta admit that the jokes in this movie are a little bit better than the other ones. Sometimes they kind of cross the line. There is, well, before I make this review, I've been watching some other making a comment on one particular scene, in which, to be told, that scene was actually real. I gotta admit that I got a chuckle out of it because it's actually kind of funny. And yeah, if you're trying to guess if you've seen the movie, yes, I'm talking about the now infamous scene of the eagles, of the eagle in the bathroom, and the characters who are in this makeshift eagle costume. It goes to the bathroom and it kind of tried to make a kind of like a pee joke there, kind of like a quote-unquote graphic one. And I like the slapstick that happened and the awkwardness that it had. So I'm gonna say that I gotta give it out. I gotta give out this as a bit of a credit, because when the movie has its own slapstick, it's funny. I think that this is where the movie shines brightly. But then comes when they try to make a gag in very, very referential. What I mean is that kind of once in a while, or actually excessively in this movie, sometimes come a scene in which they try to imitate kind of like a mood, or they want to make some kind of impact to a scene. And what happens is that they use stock pop music in order to do that. For example, one of those is that they kind of have this breakdance song that I don't remember. They try to this hip-hop-ish music. Probably for me, there was a moment in which there was a flashback in which they played the Dawson's Creek music, which I'll get to that. And also, probably the most, at least personally for me, the most painful joke that there is, or the most painful referential joke that they use, is when one said that we're gonna go the final countdown, and then it plays the final countdown. That probably for me was the most painful of all the jokes. And honestly, again, when they over rely on doing all these gags, they don't realize that they sacrifice character development. So it's a movie that they wanted to have both sides, but they couldn't balance the character side of this. So what did they sacrifice in this movie? They sacrifice a lot on the plot point of, again, Red and Leonard. They were supposed to be enemies. They kind of forget, the movie kind of just say that, oh yeah, we're in the truce. And then they follow up and that's it. And they jump into, you know, the relationship of Red with Silver. And the plot point about Red and Leonard kind of feels forgotten, so much that Leonard is just kind of became a secondary character he's just there for the ride. And that's pretty much it. You know, I think it is a good time for me to put right now a little bit of spoiler warnings right now, because the other element that I do want to express about Angry Birds 2 can be a little bit spoilerish, so at least I'll put it just in case. One of the things that I do appreciate on this movie is actually the insecurities of Red. I mean, Red's insecurities is he kind of leads up trying to take control of everything, the whole operation and all that. Although it's kind of funny to see that most of the things that Red had, while a little bit impulsive, you understand why he does it, and sometimes he's right in some ways. Although, yeah, it kind of makes him kind of a little bit saying that he made the big mistake of not making the birds evacuate when everyone was asking, hey, we should evacuate. No need, I can do it and all this stuff. And guess what? That thing, it feels a little bit too peanuts. And it went so fast that it didn't feel like it kind of mattered. And I don't think that I don't think that is 100%, you know, Red's fault. I mean, it's technically kind of obvious at that moment. But one of the things that I really wish that they could have at least meshed a little bit better, which is, again, one of the better parts of the movie, is a relationship between Red and Silver. Because they feel, of course, that they kind of put you in your, she says in your face that they're incompatible. But it kind of shows that, well, Silver is, let's say that Silver is technically not exactly appreciated, you know, on her teachings in college. But she's grounded. She is a brainiac. She has a likable personality. She has a good relationship with her brother, and her dialogues with Red are actually pretty good. I kind of wish they could mesh a little bit more. If I have to say one particular nitpick about Silver, is that they made her flaws very little. The movie could have benefited a lot if you gave out a lot of the flaws on, you know, on Silver, because the movie kind of tried to point out a lot that, well, she has leadership qualities, but a good leader is not flawless. Red is technically a good leader, but he has his faults. Silver she's very smart, and yeah, they kind of admitted it, but couldn't they give her a little bit more, also make her insecure, or that she's afraid, or that, let's say that if something comes off wrong, she kind of begins to panic or something like that. during the climax of the movie, they had a little bit of a missed opportunity on that moment. But I think she could have been a, a more a more enriched character if you gave her kind of like a flaw, let's say, because the creator of one of my favorite anime of all time, which is Gintama, says that the most interesting aspect of the character is not just their strengths, it's their faults, their flaws. And I think that was what should have done with Silver, at least. But unfortunately, because of that, you kind of come up with a very lazy script that, again, when you kind of notice, it hardly tries to give out this women power vibe. A little bit hidden, but you kind of notice, which is in stark contrast with what is happening with Sita, our main villain, who I gotta admit that the Sita thing could have been a little bit more stronger, even because, or should have been shown a little bit more earlier instead of just relying her plot points almost at the end of the movie. Because here's her backstory now. Remember that I say that the mighty eagle, the Peter Dinklage eagle, he transcended from jerk to a dick? Well, that's what happened. What happened is that he was this macho bro guy when he was young, and Sita became his girlfriend. And on the day of the wedding, he panicked and he left her at the altar. The thing is that the eagle kind of tell them almost in the middle of the movie, and then he disappeared for a while. And yeah, the character were like, "Whoa, that's low." Yeah. And I was like, "Dude, this is dickish move. That's, you know, I never got married, but I know for sure that leaving a woman in the altar is douchebag thing." And this is why Sita is heartbroken. She thinks that she works hard and she deserves a paradise for her and the others who she kind of exploits with an iron fist. But then at the end, the eagle comes back because he begins to feel lonely. He still has a little bit of a heart to her. And she begins to rant on him, rightly so, by saying that, yeah, you're a dick. You left me in the altar, and because you're a coward, you're lazy, you're everything, and I have to take care of our daughter. During those 20 years, and they were like, your daughter? I had a daughter? Yeah, she appeared during the whole movie. Yeah, a daughter played by, what was her name? Tiffany Haddish. Let's say that the ending feels a little bit undeserved, because let's say that the island explodes, everyone goes around, and the daughter almost gets crushed to death. And Sita is rightfully panicking, but then she finds out that the eagle protected her, and he shows her that she still loves Sita by showing her a lot of tattoos and giving out a lame song. And then they say that, that's okay, you're forgiven. In my head, he should receive a harsher punishment, because everything was because of his douchebaggery. So sorry, because honestly, you need more time to recover from someone doing that to a woman. It's not exactly about woman empowerment that I'm pissed off. Because I've seen worse scenarios of movies doing that. I'm actually more raising my eyebrows of being easily forgiven to someone who makes probably a really ungentlemanly thing. So everything's fine. The eagle and Sita get married. Red Red admits that he did it right with his team. He gives credit to, of course, Silver, who was kind of like the brains of the operation. Although I gotta admit, rightfully so. I'm actually kind of glad that the others kind of also admit that, well, Red is still the hero for his humbleness, of course. They made a statue of all the heroes, you know, kind of like Mount Rushmore. Even the pigs, even though we don't know how long this truce is gonna last. And of course, there's the dance party, and of course we got a long moment with, of course, Red and Silver. Well, and a long moment that lasts until Chuck kind of arrives to, you know, pester them. Although, I forgot to mention also that I kind of get a chuckle out of it that most of the, that what was I going to say? Oh yeah, that during the whole movie, the movie, it feels kind of faded that Red and Silver, they have accidental moves, and whenever Chuck sees it, he kind of gets this, he kind of gets this possessive face and saying, "Dude, that's my sister." That's a little bit of a chuckle that I have, but other than that, I think I enjoyed this. I tolerated this movie a little bit better than the last one. Because this one at least tries, but unfortunately, again, it has some of the same problems that the other one had. Except that it's kind of a little bit well directed, but it still kind of falls, you know, with the usual traps that they wanted to make it for kids. And they have a little bit overuse of gags and pop culture and references, just to, you know, call their attention and make them happy, and that's it. And this movie couldn't have it one way or another, or either go gaggy all way out and kind of try to eliminate a little bit of those character development, or try to do it, but focus, please, focus. You either want to create, you know, the romance between Red or Silver, or Red's problem with the truth with Leonard, or you want to make his problem with the insecurities. Although the thing of the island was okay, and at the end the chicks should have been his very own short film instead of, you know, being connected only for the last minute for something that didn't feel like it paid off very nicely. Which is a shame, because this movie is directed by, what was the name of that guy again? Holy IMDb. Yeah, Surup Van Orman, who was the creator of a really awesome Cartoon Network show called The Misadventures of Flapjack. Yeah, I don't care what many people say. The Misadventures of Flapjack was an awesome show. But come to think of it, Gendy Tartakovsky created Samurai Jack, and then he directed Hotel Transylvania. But I wouldn't. So in the end, Angry Birds is not exactly a good movie. It isn't a miserable movie, I'll say. Compared to Ugly Dolls and Wonder Park, this technically was a little bit. There was a better deal, I'll say. I would recommend you to go to the movie theater to watch this. It's an okay rental, I'll say. And my only gripe about this movie is that, again, for something called Angry Bird, it feels more like Annoyed Bird or let's say Insecure Bird. Do you want to see someone really angry?